This is the Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network, and I'm Jim Gillespie with producer Blake Tempus and co-host Dale Rueber, and we're here for a special show tonight. It is going to be at least an hour long, and we're interviewing autograph hound.
Yeah, I'd buy that. Yeah,
Mike Sorenson from. Do you live in Sumner or Fredericksburg?
Fredericksburg, Iowa.
You live in Fredericksburg.
I do.
Tell a quick story. Mike and I met through Jesup legend Steve Crawford.
We did.
Years ago, and I've always enjoyed being around Mike. He has a similar personality that Steve does.
Yep,
a lot of fun. So, Mike, tell us about your family first.
All right. Well, I've been married for, this is going to get me in trouble, 2008, 15 years to my lovely wife, Tori. I have two daughters. MJ's 13 and Bella's 11. So they're always constantly doing volleyball, softball, basketball. I'm super busy. This June, I was at a ball game. There's 30 days in June. I was at a ball game 29 of those days.
Wow.
We took MJ's birthday off. It was on a Sunday. I probably could have gone somewhere, but it keeps me busy. It's a good busy, though.
And what is your profession, Mike?
So I teach middle school English and Project Lead the Way and literature at Sumner Fredericksburg Middle School. And I've been teaching. This will be my 29th year.
What's Project Lead the Way?
So Project Lead the Way is more of a coding where we build things, but you have to have codes to tell the computers what to do. It's a new process that we're going through. So I have some classes in the middle school, and then as they get older, then they progress to high school classes where it's tougher. They make robots that do things.
So do you understand it?
I do now.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't at first. At first, no. I was not a coder at all.
It helps to teach it,
Yes.
doesn't it? Yeah. So.
Yes.
Where did you grow up?
Cedar Falls.
So went to Cedar Falls Public?
So I went to Cedar Falls Public, went to UNI, so I've always been close to home, and then I figured I went to a big school. I think we had 600 kids in my class. I probably didn't know half of them, so I wanted to teach at a big school. I did my student teaching at Clarksville, and the thing that impressed me was those kids knew every kid in school. And I didn't know, like I said, I didn't know half the kids in my class. Mm-hmm. And I thought, no, I want to do a small school. I thought that was the coolest thing. And so as soon as I got done with that, I applied at Fredericksburg, Iowa, which I'd never been to before. And it was a small school, and haven't looked back since. Love it.
Small schools are a unique thing.
Yes.
People, I have friends in the inner city, and I'll tell them, and oh my gosh, only 60 kids graduated this year. It's like, yeah.
Because I think my first few years, it was only like 30 at Fredericksburg,
Mm-hmm.
so it was like super tiny. But yeah, I think we're now, Sumner Fredericksburg, since we've combined, I think 70, 80 maybe on a really good year, but
Right.
it's still not 600, so
Yeah.
I still know all the kids too, which is nice.
Mm-hmm. So let's get to it here. I see you brought a number of autographs, Mike. How'd you get into being an autograph hound?
Well, here's my crazy story. So I was a senior at UNI, and we had to write a research paper. And I wrote a research paper, and my question was why the 1978 Pittsburgh Steelers were the greatest football team ever. So I researched. It was a blast. I had a lot of fun researching while other people were doing really boring stuff. I was having fun. And what I decided to do was I was going to send this paper that was just magnificently written by myself to every player on that team that was still alive. And I sent out probably 50 some with a return address, stamps coming both ways. And I only received one.
Wow.
One back, and it was from Hall of Fame linebacker Jack Ham. And he said, after reading your paper in its entirety, which I don't know if he did, yep, everything is true. We were really good, and that just got me hooked. I mean, I got a success. So then I'd write to another one, and then I'd write to another one, and that's how it started, and been crazy ever since.
So Jack Ham was your first autograph?
Yes.
And had you ever had an autograph before that, or asked for an autograph before that?
No. Well, actually, when I was growing up, my aunt, Carol Sorenson, was a PE teacher at the University of Iowa. So I would get birthday cards that were autographed from Steve Carfino or Kevin Boyle. And at the time, I thought, okay, this is kind of cool. But I'd never gone. I mean, I was never one of those kids that would, I'd get an autograph here. Nope, I never did. So it took until I was, almost graduated from UNI before I was getting autographs on my own.
So, you ever face-to-face ask for autographs, or is it all by?
Now it is. Now I do a lot of face-to-face.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm not worried about that. So I do a lot of games, celebrity golf tournaments. Just about every sport I can get to and get an autograph.
One of the most embarrassing things I've ever seen with autograph is at a Minnesota Twins game, and this is back in the 70s, where a guy in front of me before the game, we're right in the front, this player comes up and he asks him, will you autograph your card for me? The guy says, sure. So he takes the card and he looks at, that's not my card. Threw it at the guy and walked away. Yep. And the guy's yelling at, well, will you sign this? And right. I thought, that was really embarrassing for everybody, I thought. But the guy was not pleased that it wasn't his card. So.
And I've seen that before where the autograph person doesn't know who the guy is. Mm-hmm. He's walking in, he doesn't have a uniform or anything on. Steve, Bob, Ernie.
Yeah.
And they don't know. It's like, no, if you don't know, just wait.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I don't want to be that guy who's going to mess up and call you by the wrong name or give you the wrong card, and I don't want that to happen. So,
are players worried about people trying to make money off of them by getting these signatures? Or?
And I think I'm lumped in with those people too, because I mean, there's dealers out there getting autographs, and me too. Mm-hmm. But they want like 50 things signed.
Yeah.
And I want like one or two. Mm-hmm. But since I'm with them, I mean, they can't tell the difference.
Sure.
So I would never want to be a dealer, because I've gone and had really good days getting autographs, and other days not so great.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they can, I can't put that stress on me that I've got to get these autographs or we won't have food on the table or whatever.
So they get pushy.
Oh, yeah. They'll push kids. They'll shove things out. It's like, no, I'm going to let kids do whatever they want. And if these guys if I get an autograph, it's a bonus. Mm-hmm. If I don't, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
I'll never forget. I was at a Yankees Twins game, and maybe I've told this story online. I don't know. It was back when Louis Tiant was pitching and Thurman Munson catching. Billy Martin had just been fired, and Bob Lemon was managing. Yep. So we went to a series in old Met Stadium. Mm. I was with my friend Ricky McCarville. Ricky, if you're listening, hi out there. And he bought a twin cap, a hard helmet twin cap, and I bought a Yankee cap because I'm a Yankee fan.
Yep.
And a hard helmet. And all of a sudden, we looked up in the road chairs, and there sat George Steinbrenner with another suit. I mean, there was another guy with a suit by him. And I said, Ricky, let's go get his autograph. So we took off up the steps, and I had bought a program. Went to my mother, got a pen, and Mr. Steinbrenner, can I have your autograph? Oh, well, sure, son. He signed it, and Ricky asked him for an autograph, and Steinbrenner said to Ricky, you're wearing a twin cap. I'm not giving you another autograph. Yeah. I never forget that.
Yeah, that's a good story. I like
that. My gosh.
You mentioned Kevin Boyle. I had recess duty with second graders, and this car drives up through the kids, and so I go over and make sure, and it's Kevin Boyle, and the way it goes, his fiance was driving, and so I said, can I help you? And she said, well, my dad is working, he's a contractor, and he's working at the school here, and I need to see him for a minute. Sure. I said, well, that's fine. So the two of them go in the school, and so the kids say, I have a bastard just great, said, can we get autographs? Sure. So they all ran into the school, get a piece of paper and a pencil, come out, and this little girl runs up to me, and she said, is that George Raveling? Who was that? Well, and I laughed and laughed. And you would know this girl. She became a district attorney in Denver as she grew up. So she was, but because for those who don't know, George Radley was a very large black man, and Kevin Boyle was a very thin white guy, and it was just the funniest thing. But it just shows how this girl, she knew the name.
Right.
It was fun.
So let's go from Jack Ham. So
Yep.
from Jack Ham, then what did you start? Where'd you go from there? What'd you start doing then, Mike?
So then what I started doing is I just figured, well, if I could get one person, and I'm a Steelers fan, so that was big. So I got a Steeler. So then I started writing to like my favorite singer, Eddie Money. So I got Eddie Money, and I had this wall of fame. I had like 10 picture frames up there. I thought, okay, that's kind of cool. Well, then I get more and more and more through the mail and more in person, and pretty soon my wall, I would upgrade. It's like, oh, this guy is better than this guy. I'd put him up. And then I started having binders just because I don't have enough room in my house or in Fredericksburg, Iowa to keep all that stuff on every wall. And my wife would never allow me to have that on every wall. So what I really started doing was I was nervous about sending like a 2-cent baseball card in the mail, because they always say, don't send something out that that you can't afford to lose.
Sure.
But I thought, well, I've had this card for like 10 years, and it wasn't worth anything, but I thought, I don't want to send it out. So when I first started sending things out, I would just ask them, hey, could you just send me a picture? And some would, and some I would never get back. But then I thought, you know what? I'm going to bite the bullet. I'm going to send pictures. I'm going to send baseball cards, football cards, basketball cards, whatever it was. And eventually my numbers went up and up and up. And there was one day someone asked me, how many autographs do you have? And I go, I have no idea. And I think I had like 200 at the time. And so I counted them, and that took forever, 200. So I'm counting them. So now I have a notebook that I list how many autographs I have. And if I get some today, then I just add on to it. So that way I know, so I don't have to keep adding or, So I'm right now, as of today, I'm at 33,546 total autographs.
What's the last autograph you received?
The last one I got was, I was at the Twin Cities Pro-Am, and they have a lot of former NBA basketball players, college kids, high school kids. I think the last one I got was Sean Sutherland. He played for the University of Minnesota, and great kid. Talked to him for a while, and he's the one guy, I think I've seen 5 guys do it, but he had 5 dunks in one game. So I talked to him. He just a super athlete. So he was the last guy I got him last week. So I haven't got many, but that day I think I got like 60 autographs, because I'm known as the autograph guy. So I always have pictures. I always have something that is going to be different. If you're known for something like Carlton Fisk, he's waving I always find something that's not common, like something different, something that stands out, as opposed to, I've signed this picture, 37,000 times.
Yeah.
I want to get something unique, something different. So it means more to me.
Well, if I remember right, don't you have President Trump's autograph on a baseball, right?
I do. Here's kind of a crazy story. I went to Clear Lake just to get his autograph, and I had a picture of him throwing out the first pitch at Fenway Park, and he grabbed it and he goes, I've never seen this before. Can I keep it? And I go, well, I kind of wanted an autograph. And he goes, well, do you have anything else? I said, I have a baseball. But Secret Service really wasn't really happy about having baseballs there, because they thought people were going to throw it. I said, I don't want to get shot. I don't want to do anything like that. But I said, could you sign a ball? I said, yeah. So he's signing it, and it's more of a scribble than anything. And it was just like, I got him, which was kind of cool.
So did he keep the picture?
So he kept the picture,
Okay,
and
yeah.
what I've heard is the people that work for him, he gets a lot of stuff from the fans or whatever, and then gives it to his workers.
Oh, okay.
So I think that's kind of cool, but it's like I really wanted that picture, but the baseball's kind of cool too.
Right,
So it's like,
right.
So just to be fair, I got Biden, I think the next year in Clear Lake, so I got him on a baseball too. So I've met some presidents. So Biden, Trump, Clinton, Carter, those 4.
You don't have Obama's autograph.
And that's the one that I really, because he was in Iowa for, a million times, and I never went to go see him. It's like, and I should have. I kick myself every time I see an autograph. It's like, gosh. Yeah, I do make some mistakes. And it's like, I should have got him, and I was busy getting someone else who I shouldn't have been getting. But
So
you live and learn.
What's the farthest you've ever traveled to get autographs, Mike?
Oh, jeepers. I'd say probably Atlanta. When I fly to Atlanta, I'm a big Braves fan, so I go down there, 16-hour drive. One thing I did when I used to go to, and I haven't really been there since 2007, I think it was the last time I've been to Atlanta. But I'd go down there, and Hank Aaron owns a car dealership there in Atlanta. So I'd get off the plane, or I'd drive down there, and if you bought a car from him, he'd give you an autographed baseball.
Oh.
So I went in and I said, Mr. Aaron, could you sign a ball for me? And he goes, oh, geez, I'm not supposed to do this, but yeah. So yeah. But so I'd go down. Atlanta would be the furthest I've really gone. Lately, I've been driving up to Minnesota. And I didn't know this until recently. Minnesota basketball, after we get done with our state championship, they still have 2 more weeks in their schedule. Mm-hmm. So after I've done getting autographs here in Iowa, I can still go up there. The last time I went up there, I drove 5 hours just to see one game. They have some really good athletes up there. So
was that with a girls basketball?
It was a girls basketball.
Who were those 2 elite athletes that you watched that night?
I went up to see Chad Greenway, who played for Iowa. His daughter Madden threw in 60 points that night, and then Addie Mack, who plays for Minnehaha, threw in 45. The final score, and this is a high school girls game, was 126-94.
Wow.
It was insane. It was just like, who's going to play defense? Who's going to just...
So would you say your collection is half old-timers and half people that are prominent now, or is there a...
Yeah, because what I do is I try to get people before they become famous.
Okay.
And I roll the dice. I mean, obviously, minor league baseball or high school kids, sometimes they pan out, sometimes they don't. I have a real good friend, Jim Stewart, who's always sending me stuff, or, hey, you should get this guy. You should really get this girl. And I get a lot of luck there. I remember, and probably the most famous one he's ever told me was, you got to get this quarterback from Florida, breaking all these high school records. I go, all right. So I looked him up. Okay, so I found some pictures. I sent it to this kid, and it comes back, and to Mike, Tim Tebow. So it's like, okay. So, but I've written to other people that they didn't do much, but it's kind of cool just to get autographs, just to see. I always like just looking at the penmanship. Mm-hmm. I mean, the old timers, you could read every single letter.
Yeah.
And today's baseball players or whoever, it's just scribble, and it's like,
not much sincerity there.
It really is. I mean, the first time I met Greg Maddox and he signed a ball for me, I had to turn to some of these other guys because I couldn't read any letters in there. I go, was that Greg Maddox? This does not look like a G or an M or anything. I know I've talked to some of the old timers that they've talked to the new kids or the new guys who are playing in the big leagues that you've got to sign, so they can read it. Mm-hmm. Harmon Killebrew was always a big component about that. He wanted to make sure, because he has a very beautiful signature, but there were some other twins, the new guys, that were just scribble, and he was not happy about that.
Yeah.
So
it would take Harmon a long time to sign 100 autographs, wouldn't it?
It would. And he would do it very delicately and pretty, and
that's the way they should do it.
I agree.
If they're otherwise, don't give them, because I hate it when you get something and you can't. It's just a squiggly line, and you have no idea if they don't print their name underneath it.
Yeah.
It's not worth anything to you.
Right.
So
This is the Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network, and we're interviewing Mike Sorenson tonight. Mike, so you talked about your trips to Atlanta.
Yep.
If I'm correct, you developed some relationships with some players down there.
It was kind of funny because I would go to the ballpark for a 7:00 game at 7:00 in the morning. Okay, so just because some of the guys would come in early, Hall of Fame manager Bobby Cox would show up, and that's the only time he would sign autographs. Mm-hmm. So I'd have to get there early if I really wanted him, and he'd always be one that would be kicked out of a game, and it was just like, Bobby, you got to be in there. We need you. Because I know, but those guys are going to get kicked out, so I'd rather get kicked out than my players. So he saved the Braves probably a lot of wins. or same a lot of losses with wins by him getting kicked out. So I would hang out, and obviously if I was there that early, they got to know me. I mean, they knew that I was there, and I know I wasn't one of these guys that was selling autographs. I was just there because I was a diehard Braves fan, and I wanted to see him. It was kind of cool just to see some of these guys come through. Chipper Jones, when he was coming through, great guy, great signer, and he had all the pitchers. He had Maddox, Smoltz, Glavine. They were awesome. It was just neat just to see some of these guys that would come through, and these are big names, Hall of Famers that they would sign. There'd be other guys that were, not real great, but they would want to sign for anybody. So it's like, I mean, I get it, and it's kind of funny because I wouldn't want to be one of those famous guys that I'm signing autographs every day, because I would guess it would get old. Yeah, I mean, you couldn't go anywhere without somebody. Oh, can I get a picture with you? Can I get an autograph? That's why I don't like to say, hey, can you sign 47 things for me?
Yeah.
Get 1 or 2 done.
I've been to Cubs games. I think it was Cubs games where at a certain time in the pregame, they'd have 2 or 3 players at designated spots to sign, and they would be the autograph signers of the day kind of thing.
Right.
And it never was Ernie Banks or anybody, but it was somebody from the Cubs that the kids could get autographs.
Right.
And so
the Braves used to do that too, and it would always be, some utility player or some relief pitcher that, and I like that just because now you can go home, hey, I got an autograph, a kid or an adult, whoever, and now it seems like security is so tough now as compared to when I used to go that you have to buy a batting practice ticket to get onto the field to get an autograph now. So they're making more money off you just to get an autograph. So it's like, I don't know. It's a lot different than it was when I first started.
Literally get on the field, or you're in the stadium?
You're in the stadium, but you have to buy an extra ticket. I'm watching you guys hit BP, but I'm there. I'm probably 20, 30 feet from you.
Right.
And that way I have a chance to, hey, can I get an autograph? And they could say no, but it's kind of VIP, so a lot of them will come over and sign. So, but some of those teams don't have that, so it's tough to get. And I don't know all the different venues and where to be, and who's signing where and who doesn't sign, and I'm out of that loop. So I get nervous when it's a new venue,
right?
Because I'm not used to it. But if it's been, I know where to go, where they're exiting, where they're coming in, where they're getting on the bus, getting off the bus. I can figure that out, but I need a couple days to kind of get all that.
All right, right.
And a lot of people won't tell you. They won't say, hey, because they don't want you to impose on what they're getting.
Yeah.
Which I get. I mean, I understand that. So I kind of lay in the weeds and just, okay, all right, this is where they come out, and I figure that out, and I don't bother anyone else who's trying to get autographs or anything like that. But
so Mike, you mentioned your daughters.
Yep.
And in these past years, how old are your daughters now?
So we got 13 and 11.
13 and 11.
Yep.
From about the time that each of them were about 3 or 4, I believe you started taking them with you.
Yep.
And using them as hawkers. Tell us that story, please.
Using them, yeah. I'd say using. Yeah,
I've seen people doing that before.
Yep. If you're going to be part of this family, you have to work for a living here. So yeah. What's neat is some of these players, they'll only sign for kids, and they will.
Sure.
And so, but my kids are there, and that's fine. And it was neat because I took my kids to a lot of Waterloo Bucks games. And these are kids that are the guys that are playing there are college kids. I mean, they're not super, super famous. Some of them get drafted, but they're not big names, huge names. But my kids loved that just because it was more of a family atmosphere. I know my girls would go in the dugout with them. And I remember MJ was taking pictures of the people. And then this was before selfies were even a thing. And she was doing that and getting autographs and bats and balls and all kinds of stuff. And she was really more excited about getting pictures taken with all these cute college guys than, getting an autograph. But she get an autograph too. So, So if I'm going by myself, I might get 1 autograph from a player. If my kids are with me, well, then we're up to 3 or 4 if my wife comes. So, yeah, I'll use that to my advantage. And they sometimes they like that, but it's like sometimes it makes for a long day of waiting and
Right.
seeing what
Yeah.
we can do and all that kind of stuff. But
Has it developed their social skills, Mike?
I think so. I mean, my kid, just like me, I'm not shy, so my kids aren't shy either. I mean, they'll go up and they'll talk to people. They're not worried about what other if they say no. I mean, usually they don't say no to kids, but it was funny. We went to watch the Iowa Hawkeye women this past winter. I just took MJ, and we were getting autographs after the game, and we got almost everyone except Caitlin Clark. And so we go up to the family room, and there was a couple. I think Gabby was up there, so we got her. And then I said, well, I guess maybe Caitlin just left. And MJ goes, Dad, she's right over there with her family. So I said, okay, you go get her.
Yeah.
And so she did, and yeah, she's not scared,
Yeah.
which is nice. I mean, I'd rather have her getting autographs than doing other things that are going to get her in trouble.
Right.
I mean, oh, yeah.
Well, Caitlin Clark, from what I've seen, is approachable.
Yes.
And some people just give you that vibe, stay away from me. And,
Right. Yep.
But I've always got the impression from her that she is approachable. You see her signing.
For a lot of
news
kids,
shows.
for
Yeah,
a lot of kids,
for
which I'm
kids,
good
yeah.
with. Yeah. So if you're going to sign for kids and not sign for me, that's not going to hurt my feelings at all.
Yeah.
I said, yep, that's fine. Yep, she's good. Yeah, the worst one I ever had was Hall of Fame Eddie Murray. Played for the Orioles and Indians, and he was a hitting coach for the Indians. And I think I was there for a 3-game series with the Braves, and I asked him every day, Mr. Murray, could you sign my ball? And he would go, no, thank you.
Yeah.
And just walk away. He was polite about it,
Yeah.
but there was no way. So we met him later on in life. Trent Tucker, who was one of Michael Jordan's teammates, had a golf tournament up in Minnesota. And we went up there, and of course my wife goes up to Mr. Murray. Could you sign this ball? Oh, sure I can. I'm going, oh my gosh. So yeah, she's 1 for 1 with Eddie Murray. And like,
So what did we learn here, folks? Yeah. So
exactly.
Yep.
yeah.
So we'll play a game here in a little bit,
Okay.
but before we play that game, probably in your mind, Mike, who would be, if you still did that wall
Yep,
of fame?
my wall of fame.
Who would be on your wall of fame? Let's start from, and I'll give you. We'll bloviate a little
Okay.
bit here, Dale and I, while you think about this.
Yep.
But think from 10 to 1 here. You need something to write
Yep,
on.
I got you. I can do it.
Here's a pen. So Dale, let me ask you this question.
All right.
What is your biggest autograph that you ever got?
Well, I have Ernie Banks and Ron Santo. It'd be Cubs players.
Right.
Those are from that era, and Bobby Denier and some of those. I have their autograph,
Okay.
and on a baseball, and then on a piece of cardboard, they all autographed it. So that's my one experience with the Cubs, and so that was just part of their job, I think, to autograph something for everybody, and so it wasn't very sincere. They just went around the room and autographed everybody. So
Okay. And president-wise, how many presidents have you seen in person?
I think just one, Lyndon Johnson. We stood honor guard for him. He stopped at El Toro, and a bunch of people in our green suits stand there. And what I remember most is that there's a day when you wear tropicals, and the next day you wear the wool greens. This is
Yeah.
in California, Southern California. So the day came and it was greens time. So we all had all these greens on. And we had to stand on this airstrip for a couple, because you got to get there early, of course.
Right.
So we had to stand there waiting for his plane to land, and a lot of these women Marines would just boo, and then 2 of them would carry the one off. I think they did it on
wow.
purpose. But it was, it wasn't. I'm honored to be here. He said, God, I wish I could get out. I believe he's the only president I've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah.
Really interesting.
He is Lyndon Johnson, very big man, very big.
I think I saw Mr. Reagan the day after the Marine Corps barracks was bombed in Lebanon.
Okay, yeah.
I saw him. He was in Cedar Rapids.
He was mainly responsible for that. But
He-
that's another story. But
And then I saw Obama in Cedar Falls when he was running. I was on I was on C-SPAN the next day.
Were you really?
I
All
made
right.
C-SPAN.
There you
Yep.
go.
That's even better. I saw your picture on the Bulletin Journal, but now you've been on C-SPAN too. Okay.
And then I've seen. I met Biden. I was on a trip down to Des Moines when I was vice president of the teachers, local teachers union.
Yeah.
I met Biden down in Des Moines.
Did he call you Sonny or anything?
No, he was going through a plagiarizing other people's speeches at that time, and so that's why I had to get out of the election.
Yeah. I'd rather get caught on a boat with a bimbo than get caught plagiarizing. Wouldn't you? At least people look at you a little better, I think.
Yeah. And let's see.
Well, there's more.
I know I saw Biden, Obama, and Reagan. Those are the only three.
Well, 3 out of 45 or 46 is pretty good,
I saw Jesse Jackson one night in Independence, obviously, when he was running for president the first time.
Yeah.
And trying to think who else that I saw politician-wise. I flew on a flight from Oklahoma City to Albuquerque with Tubby Smith
Oh, there you go.
one night.
I bet he has stories.
I bet you does.
Well, I met Joe Namath
Did it?
and Jim Otto. It was after the Super Bowl where the Jets had beaten the Colts,
Oh yeah.
and they were going through the hospital. And I was a big Colts fan, and I wanted nothing to do with Joe Namath. I looked the other way, so it was my big shot right there, I guess.
All right, Mike. So we've bloviated there for a
right.
while. So let's go to
you
you.
go.
Let's go from number 10. Let me see. I don't have a sound effect for you, but let's go number 10.
All right, number 10. I'm going to go Ben Roethlisberger, Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback.
There you go.
Great guy.
All right, Ben Roethlisberger.
He's number 10.
Number 10. Number 9.
Number 9, Kurt Warner.
Okay, hold on.
I graduated from UNI, so great guy.
Okay, hold on. Number 8.
Number 8, Bobby Cox, manager of the Braves.
There you
former
go.
Hall of Famer.
I wonder how many wins he ended up with.
I think he's like 4th or 5th all-time wins.
Yeah, he's right up there, I know.
He's way up there.
Yep. Number 7.
Charles Barkley.
Charles Barkley. Where did you run into Barkley at?
My wife somehow knew someone who worked for the Minnesota Timberwolves, and it was Lakers versus the Timberwolves playoffs, and we had nosebleed sections. I actually got Charles Barkley was signing autographs after the game, and so was Reggie Miller's sister.
Cheryl Miller.
Cheryl was there, so I got her to sign a baseball, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
I always have something.
Number 6.
Number 6, I'll go Caitlin Clark just because she's basically changed the game.
It's amazing what she's done for the game.
It's
isn't
incredible.
It? Oh my gosh! I have never seen I've never seen a woman change the game like she has and bring the numbers in that she's brought.
Totally agree.
It makes you think what UConn has done for years, how remarkable that is. You know, and I know that UConn isn't beloved. You either love them or hate them.
Yep.
That's remarkable what they've done. So that was number 6.
That's number 6.
Number 5.
I'm gonna keep with sports. So Chipper Jones, Hall of Famer with the Braves.
And that was on one of your trips down there.
Yep.
That what's he do? I wonder what he's doing now.
I'm sure he's helping I know he was broadcaster for a while with them, helping them out because he knows the game.
Right.
I'm sure he doesn't really have to do much
Right.
with his life, but he probably needs to have something to do.
Number 4.
John Smoltz. I'm gonna keep going with the Braves. Another Hall of Famer.
Yeah, amazing the players they had, Dale.
Yep.
And they only won one World Series though.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, those things happen, though.
Great guys, yeah.
Yeah.
Number 3.
Number 3, I'm going to go Tom Glavine. He would sign anything, but the one thing that he really dreaded to sign was he had a commercial with Greg Maddux and Mark McGuire way back in the day Chicks Dig the Long Ball.
Oh yeah.
And Mr. Glab, could you sign Chicks Dig the Long Ball? Gosh, and he would. He and you could read every single letter, but it's like, it's a lot to write. But yeah, he'd do it, but it was just like,
Things we do for money, right? Yeah, and then we regret it. So
Number two.
Number 2, Greg Maddux, my favorite player of all time in baseball. I just love how he never overpowered. I mean, he could never throw 90 miles an hour, but he'd just paint the corners and he'd beat you, and quickly too.
I love it. In his last year, he played for the Cubs. And I had him on TV one day, and he came out in the first inning, threw 5 pitches, had 3 outs, walked to the dugout.
no big deal.
It was just amazing. I don't think he lasted the game, but
Right.
Just to show this is how you do it. You throw 5 pitches, you got 3 outs, and then you're done. So
He could just put the ball where he wanted to. The hand-eye
Smartest guy ever.
coordination.
And my brother used to yowl because they watched those Braves pitchers, and they'd be 6 inches off the corner, and they'd still get a
They
strike.
get a strike,
call.
though. They would.
Yeah.
He says it's just on their reputation. It's just their reputation. He made him so mad.
So that's number 2. And the number 1 Wall of Fame at Mike Sorenson's house is...
Number 1, not even close, Michael Jordan. I mean, I've met so many different celebrities, presidents, but when I met Michael Jordan, it was just jaw dropped. I mean, butterflies. It was just, this is Michael Jordan. This is not just some basketball player. This is
The basketball
the.
player, yeah.
So, yeah, just a great guy.
Did you see the movie they made?
Yes.
About,
Yep,
I thought
yep.
that was very well done.
Very good.
I was very impressed with that.
The Last Dance was great.
Yeah.
And where did you get his autograph at?
Well, first of all, we accidentally stayed at the same hotel he was. So when I saw him, I went over and asked him to sign my jersey. Well, he was having no part of that, and he was mad because security didn't stop anyone. But then there was a celebrity golf tournament up there, and then once he got done with the 18th hole, people would line up, and then he would have handlers that would come up to random people and grab stuff, and they might get you and skip you and might get you, and it's like it was just pure random. And grabbed my basketball jersey, one of the guys did, and I said, whoa, you need a silver Sharpie, because I had the red jersey with the black numbers, and I said, you need a silver, and he goes, nah, you'll be fine. And Jordan was just looking at this going, yeah, I'm not signing this. And so the guy comes back and takes my silver Sharpie, and then he signed it, and it's just like, yes, perfect.
Cool.
So that was good. And then the next year we went up again, and I got one, that's another jersey signed, and I gave it to one of my buddies in Atlanta, the guy who I stay with, Jeff, if you're listening, because he's got me so many cool autographs down with the Braves that I figured, you know what, I can give him Michael Jordan. So
Right?
that's the biggest one I've ever given away, so that's pretty good.
Okay.
Well, it's a pretty good list.
That is
Not bad, not
A
bad.
lot of Hall of Famers there.
That is. So talk a lot about sports. What are some stars, some musical stars that you've got?
Actually, it was kind of funny. Last night, my youngest Bella asked me if I had Taylor Swift's autograph. And I said, well, let me look. So I had to go through my binders and go through my music ones. And I actually had some from I want to say 10 years ago. I wrote to her and she signed. I don't know if she's signing now, but I had some of those. Music is probably the one genre that I don't do a ton of. So I don't have a lot of real big names like Bruce Springsteen, Eddie Money. I mean, guys from the 80s that I would have listened to. Who else did I see last night? I was looking through.
As you think of that, what is the most embarrassed you've ever been when it came to asking for an autograph? If you want to share that story.
Most embarrassed. Yeah, the Eddie Murray one. Yeah, no, thank you. That's the meanest anyone's ever been to me. Which that's not mean at all. But I've heard other. It's always fun just to talk to other autograph guys because they always have stories, and it's kind of funny because they might say, "Oh yeah, this guy's a real jerk. He wouldn't sign for any of us." Da 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 da. And then I meet him the next day, and he signed for everyone. So we all have different stories. Sure. And we have different viewpoints of these players, just because it's the nature of the beast. You're having a good day, you're having a bad day. I mean, if you struck out 4 times, you're probably not going to be too happy with you or anyone else, and you want to just get out of there. And some people are mad that I didn't get an autograph.
So is it easier to get autographs from the winning team members, or does that make a difference?
I think so.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times where there's guys that maybe hit 2-3 home runs in a game. I thought, oh man, they'll sign for everyone, and they don't. They want to get out.
Yeah.
And there's other guys, like I said, strikes out 4 times. I'll sign for everyone.
Yeah.
I'm not real good. Maybe this will help my ego or something, but yeah, I try to be a bandwagon fan and just try to pick the winning team. That way, it's a little bit easier, I think.
What is the most unique place you've ever ended up getting an autograph, or ended up with players or with stars?
Probably my one of my fondest memories was in Chicago. I got a hotel right next to Wrigley because I thought, you know what, I can just walk. I don't have to drive in Chicago or anything like that. But then, of course, I find out where the Braves are staying, so I have to take a taxi over there at I think it was the Hilton they were staying at, and that was back when all those guys, Maddox and Glavine and Smoltz and all those guys were playing. And I'm hanging out, and I get into the restaurant, and there's Tom Glavine and second baseman Mark Lemke, and they're watching SportsCenter, and it was just so cool. I mean, I get their autographs, and and they say, hey, just pull up a chair, and they're watching themselves on SportsCenter, which I thought that was just the coolest thing ever. Going, yeah, that's what I just did. It's like, man, it's like I don't do stuff like that, but that was neat just to see. It's like, okay, I mean, they were, my idols growing up, and they're just in awe of themselves up on TV, just like we would be too if, we were doing stuff like that. But it's like, I mean, I guess that's not a weird place, but that'd be one place.
Well, you hear people complaining to be in the restroom and somebody will come up on an autograph.
I've never done that. I can honestly say I've never.
That's a bit pushy, I would think. But
I did see Jim Rice in a hotel bathroom one time, and I did not ask.
Yeah.
I waited till he got out of the hotel, and that was it. Yeah. So it's like, no, I've never done the bathroom thing. I just that's gonna overstep the bounds. It's like, no.
So you have to keep up if you're talking to them and they don't have their uniform with a number on. If you have to recognize,
and that's
them
the thing. It's like
places.
I'm not, and I'll never be good at that. I mean, if you have a jersey and number on, I know exactly who you are. But if you don't, you look just like the other guy who's right next to you.
Yeah.
And so it's like, is that? Yep, that's him. I mean, sometimes you have to get really close, and especially at night, it's tough. And when it's dark, you can't really tell, or they have a hat on or whatever, and it's just it's different. And I mean, and I've seen guys out there, and they've helped me a lot because, I mean, from 30 yards away, they know exactly who that is over there. And I don't have a clue. It's like, oh, okay. Perfect.
I don't expect you to know the answers, but football players, quarterbacks, when they come out of the game, the defense is on the sideline, and they always take off their helmet and they put on a cap. Nobody else does that, but the quarterbacks always put on a cap. Why would they do
that at all? I don't.
Okay.
There's a lot of things I don't understand. It's like baseball players wearing beards.
Yeah.
I don't get that at all.
They look
now, if
terrible,
you play for the Green Bay Packers, I understand that. It gets cold there. I get that. But when you're playing in Los Angeles or whatever and you got a full beard, it doesn't make any sense to me in July.
Yeah.
What is one of the most memorable games or events that you went to and watched that stays in your mind?
Back in 1995, it was actually the year the Braves did win the World Series. My first games in Atlanta I ever went to. The first game, John Smoltz pitched, and they won. So I was super happy, super excited. We had tickets for the next game, and my buddy Greg Maddox was pitching that game. I go, yes, they're going to win 2 in a row. This is going to be awesome. And that year, Greg Maddox went 19-2, and he got rocked that game.
Yeah.
So I saw one of his 2 losses, and I was just like, man. And we're going back in the subway, and I only had 2 tickets for the first 2 games. And it's like, gosh. I mean, and this woman says, did you go to the game tonight? And I said, yeah. I said, Greg Maddox got beat. She goes, are you planning on going tomorrow? I said, no, I don't have tickets. Well, you could have mine. I'm not going. So we went. So we went that game, and it was funny because It was Tom Glavine's only home run he ever hit, and Javi Lopez, their catcher, had a game-winning hit in the bottom of the ninth to a game that I should never have gone to.
Yeah.
Right?
And this woman was so nice that she just, here, you can have my tickets, no big deal. And I just remember that just because it was a great game, and it was one of those things where just luck
Yeah.
came into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And maybe it's karma, maybe just because I'm a nice guy and I tried to do a lot of nice things and
Sometimes things just
help
work
people
out.
out. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it's funny. I mean, if you see me at a game, I'll have like probably 20 Sharpies with me because there's always kids that are out there, but they don't have anything to sign with, or I mean, I'll have pictures or balls or hey, I mean, I'm helping other kids out. It's like they're the ones who need stuff, and their parents don't have a clue either. So it's like, here's a Sharpie, and they always say, well, I'll give it back to you. No, just keep it.
Yeah.
Because you might get some more autographs.
Sure.
Really?
Well.
Yeah. It's not a big deal. It's just a marker.
So let's play a little game here.
All right.
So Mr. Rueber, I need your help here.
Okay.
As we do this, let's ask him: does he have the autograph? Does he have such and such?
I'm good at this game. I'm good at this game.
Okay.
All right. So let's start with an easy one.
Okay.
Scottie Pippen, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Bobby Hansen.
Yes.
Dolph, the announcer for Iowa, Jim Dolphin.
I actually
Gary Dolphin.
Or Gary
Gary,
Dolphin,
yeah.
yes.
I actually saw him last week at Zach Johnson's celebrity golf tournament. Did not ask him for an autograph. I've got him before though.
Yeah.
So
So
I
have his autograph.
Yep.
Interesting.
How about Jim Zabel?
I do not have Zabel.
Okay.
Do not.
You can't get it, I don't think, anymore.
No.
I don't know.
It's got to be out there somehow.
Somewhere, yeah.
It's got to be
It's
out
possible.
there.
Would you get one? Would you covet an autograph that somebody else had gotten that you would like to have, and like you get it from them instead of from the person who did the signing? Or?
Well, what they say is like 80% or 90% on eBay are fakes. Okay, so if you can figure out how to scribble something,
Yeah.
people are going to buy it. So I try to stay away from that. But they also have companies that prove that, yes, this is legit. PSA will say, yeah, this is a legit auto. And especially if it's a deceased player, I can't get them anymore unless I buy it. And I've done that before with some old Hall of Famers or some guys that I just can't get anymore.
Yeah.
But I can't trust anyone on eBay. But if it's a buddy of mine, then I know that
Yeah,
they
that's
got
what
it.
I was
Yes,
thinking
yes.
more. Is
Yep, and
somebody that you knew.
if they've
Okay.
got them, and we'll do something like that, or I'll give them some balls for an autograph or something, and we do that. I never sell any of my autographs because I'm more worried about them. If I sold an autograph today, that guy's going to hit like 7 home runs in one game or something,
Yeah.
and that autograph's going to go sky high or whatever. But it's just like I get nervous. It's like, no, I can't do it. Can't do it.
All right, let's go. Let's go back when Atlanta was just getting big on TBS. Dave Kingman.
Dave Kingman played for the Mets, though.
You played for the Cubs.
He played.
He
for
never
the
played for the Braves, but yes, I do have Kingman.
Who was the outfield, the center fielder?
Dale Murphy.
Dale Murphy.
Murphy, yeah.
Forgive me. I was
Dale
thinking-
Murphy's my man. Yep. Here's a good story with Dale. Back when Bob Feller had his museum in Van Meter, he had Dale Murphy come up and sign autographs and stuff like that. And Dale Murphy's probably the reason why I'm such a big baseball fan. Because when we moved to Cedar Falls in 1980, we got TBS. So I had TBS, I had WR, I had the Mets, or I had WG and the Cubs. And all three of them were like blue uniforms, but I liked the powder blue Braves uniforms better.
Yeah.
And all three teams at the time were horrible. They were all bad.
Yeah.
But I liked the Braves. And
And Dale Murphy was MVP.
2 years in a row. Yep, 82 and 83.
Okay, and then kind of fizzled after that for the
Correct.
most part. Yeah.
Yep.
And
So there's a lot of debate on should he be a Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
Well, he was really good for about that much of his
Yeah.
career. Towards
Yeah.
the end, he ended up with 398 home runs. If he would have hit 400, I think he would have been in, but
Yeah.
probably not anymore.
yeah.
At the end, he struck out as a lot.
A lot.
A
Yep.
lot.
And they got rid of him. They went to Philadelphia, and then he went to Colorado. And I thought, well, maybe in Colorado, just because of the elevation, he could hit more home runs, and he was done. But here's my story with Murphy, and it was funny because I'm probably the worst artist in the history of drawing, whatever. When I was in 7th grade, I painted a painting of Dale Murphy. and I kept it forever because it was the only A- I ever got. And I hung it up in my room, and it's just like, okay, so when Dale Murphy came, I brought this crazy painting down, and I said, Mr. Murphy, could you sign this? He goes, this is awesome. I said, well, and big autograph, whatever. I mean, it's a huge...
Did you admit that you were the artist?
And I told him, I said, he goes, you should paint another one. I said, no. I said, I think this was the only one I could ever do. And so that was kind of cool. Just to meet he was my idol growing up. I mean, I have a poster of him in my classroom today. One of those old Nike posters that they used to have way back in the 80s and 90s. But yeah, great guy and probably the nicest guy ever in baseball, and everyone else will say that too, players and fans, and just an all-around good guy.
Okay.
What's the most unique autograph one of your students has ever gotten?
I know that there is a coach from Sumner, Iowa, who's now coaching softball at Alabama, I believe.
Oh yes, he used to coach baseball at
Yes.
Independence.
Yep.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So there's some connection there that it would be every year I'd have at least one kid, possibly 2 or 3 kids, write to him, and I forget his name, I'm sorry. But I think that's a cool thing, as long as there's a connection that kids can really get a hold of. I think that's just neat if they have something like that. They write to a lot of bands and musicians that I've never heard of.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, well, we'll roll the dice, and sometimes they get them back, and sometimes they don't. So.
Right. Okay, back to the game here.
Any Yankees? Big Yankees?
The biggest Yankee, actually, Mariano Rivera used to sign a lot through the mail. I'd write to him every year, and he'd send cards. I'd send him a card, and he'd write back. The last time I wrote to him, I sent him a cool Sports Illustrated, and he has one of the prettiest signatures ever. I met Reggie Jackson at the Dubuque airport one time. I just happened to be there, just finding and I said, Mr. Jackson, could you sign a Sports Illustrated for me? Well, sure. Okay. And of course, I'm one of the few people who own a camera. And I said, Mr. Jackson, could you take a picture with me? Well, where's your cell phone? I said, I have a camera. He says, at Costco you can get your own cell phone. I go, I know, but cameras are better than the cell phones. And he was just on me hard and just like, just take the picture. And it's just like, so that was kind of good. Yankees. Whitey Ford, I have him on the Sports Illustrated.
Did you meet him or
did not meet him?
Okay.
Oh, I'm just Yankees that I've met. Ricky Henderson.
Oh, that'd be a neat one.
He bounced around.
He bounced around a
A
lot.
lot of teams, yeah.
Yeah.
Yankees. And I go down to Charlie's, and so I get a lot of Yankees at his Blue Bats autograph show every year.
All right, so let's go back to the game.
All right.
Do you have is it Diane Taurasi from Phoenix?
I do.
How'd you get her?
Through the mail.
Okay.
Yep.
Brittany Griner.
I got her through the mail when she was playing at Baylor. She was on Sports Illustrated, so I sent to her and got lucky.
Okay. Let's go Rebecca Lobo.
Yes, I have her. I actually got her, I think her first year in the WNBA. Wrote to her.
Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers is the one that I had to pay for. That was one that I threw money down just because I figured I better get him. He's pretty darn good. My wife is a Packers fan, so that's the most expensive one I've ever paid for, $200.
Is that right? Just to him, right?
Just him, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think these players have helpers, mail people, somebody that helps them sort all this stuff and mail it back, or do you think they do it on their own? Or?
I've heard that sometimes they have, a brother or their wife go through everything. Sometimes they sign stuff. So, the stuff that I get through the mail, I can't prove that it's legit. And even some of the autographs that I get in person would probably not pass. Because a lot of times when they're walking by and they're scribble, it doesn't look like their sit down pretty one, but
Well, I saw a movie once where the movie star has a room full of girls that are signing her autograph and mailing them out
Which
to
could
her
be,
fans.
yeah.
And,
It totally
and so-
could happen.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What about Brad Pitt?
Do not have Brad Pitt.
Okay.
Nope.
All
Did
right.
you go ask for movie stars or that sort of thing, or
I have.
you have? Okay.
The biggest one I've met in Iowa, Hugh Jackman, was down in Iowa Falls promoting some movie he was in. He signed a couple DVDs for me.
He's in Iowa Falls.
I've met Kevin Costner a few times at the Field of Dreams. Great guy. There was one time he was out there playing catch with his kids, and I think he's like 70. I mean, he's up there, and he's got like kids that are 10, 12, whatever, and he's playing catch with them, and I'm just hanging out, and the kids get tired, and he goes, "Does anyone want to play catch with me?"
Yeah.
I said, "Oh yes, I will." And as soon as I got out there, then there was a line. So as soon as, so I played catch with Kevin Costner. Yeah. I'd say Costner's probably the biggest name I've ever met. Actresses, I haven't really met a lot of actresses. I know, especially when there's celebrities that come in trying to get you to vote for somebody, they bring in celebrities. I know that Obama had Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher come in to UNI, and it was funny. This is another good story because this should never have happened either. Because usually, they do their spiel, they talk about, hey, you should vote for this person, da 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 da, and then they sign autographs afterwards just to make you happy, which I wanted to be happy. Well, then they got done with their spiel and they said, "Yep, see ya, we're out of here." It's like, oh, that was fun. So I'm kind of moping, walking back to my car, and I noticed this minivan, and it had license plates from Cedar Rapids. And I thought, oh, that's where Ashton's from. This might be a good place to kind of hang out. And so I hung out there, and they both came out, and I said, Demi, could you sign this? Oh, sure. Ash, could you sign it? Oh, yeah. And that was good. So that shouldn't have happened either. So sometimes I get lucky, and I'll take the luck over being good anytime. Yeah. Anytime.
Okay. Larry Bird.
Have never met Larry Bird. I did purchase a autographed jersey. This summer I went to his house. I hung out in French Lick.
Oh, is that
French
right?
Lick this summer, and he's got a basketball court and everything. I did a trick shot at the hoop there, and it really needs help there. They need to throw some money at. I'm sure Bird's got some money, but no. Actually, when my wife was coaching in Indian Hills, she told me one time. She said, "Hey, Larry Bird's going to show up because we got this guy, and he's might go to the NBA." And so, of course, I drove down to Indian Hills, and Larry Bird did not show up.
Yeah.
It's like, but he'd be one of,
Who's the 100-point kid at Grinnell?
Jack, and Mike is a big Grinnell fan as well. Jack Taylor.
Jack Taylor, yep.
Yeah, okay.
And here's a funny story about Jack Taylor. I met him after he broke his record, obviously, and he got hurt. So he broke his wrist, and of course I'm going over there, "Hey, Jack, can you sign this and this?" Take pictures with my girls, and the coaches were just not happy at all.
Yeah.
So you can sign all these autographs, but you can't make a 3-pointer? He goes, "No, I can't." I mean, he had a cast on and everything.
yeah.
It's like, but I can still sign autographs. It's
Yeah.
perfect.
Now he's a minister, I believe, somewhere now.
Yes.
I believe.
I think
Oh,
so.
is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wisconsin. I want to say Wisconsin.
I think so. I think he was from Wisconsin originally.
Originally was.
Yeah.
Well, Bull Durham had the Church of Baseball. He must have the Church of Basketball.
There you go.
There you go.
So one more question here as we wrap up.
Okay.
As we're all mortal. Someday, as you pass your autographs on to your daughters.
I know where this is going.
Yeah. What's your thoughts as far as do you see this as an inheritance for them? Do they find it neat? What's their thoughts on your autograph?
I would say probably as soon as I pass, it might be a garage sale. It might be. I mean, I don't think that my wife wants to hang on to them. I probably have some really good autographs that might be worth something, but I have a lot of them that aren't worth anything.
Yeah.
I mean, zilch.
Yeah.
You'd have to pay someone to take them. But there would be some that, like I said, Bella was asking if I had Taylor Swift. And so she'd probably take those, but I don't know about some of the other people that...
Well, the
'cause
whole thing has
she wouldn't
brought
know.
you a lot of joy and
Yes.
pleasure in your life. It's worth it whether they get tossed aside.
Yes,
or not.
totally.
It's been,
I totally agree.
It's been good for you and very much worth it, I think. So.
Right. I'm not in it for the money. I'm not in it to make money. I'm not in it for my daughters to
What kind of
become
teacher are
rich.
you that you're not in things for the money?
Exactly.
So we'd like to tell our listeners here as we wrap up that Mike and I are going to go down to the local Jesup basketball court down here. Mike is a trick shot artist that has his shot on Twitter or whatever they're calling that now, X or whatever
X,
that
yes,
is,
yeah, that's new.
and Facebook, and he's made trick shots in how many different venues now?
So
Mike?
I've done it at 49 different gyms and the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame.
Okay.
So, and I don't count other places. Well, Larry Bird's place or any hoop. I mean, I've gone to other parks and stuff and done it, but in an actual gym, just 49.
Okay.
You did it up at the Jesup tennis court here in town.
I have, yep.
But this is the new court now that we're going to go down and do it.
Okay.
I'll try to get it on his social media. I know Mike
There you
will
go.
put it on his social media. Mike, what's your social media for people to follow you?
So on TikTok, it's the most boring name on TikTok. It's 03 Mike. That's it.
Okay.
On Twitter, it's Mike Sorenson 1, I think, and then Facebook, it's just Mike Sorenson. Yeah, so I don't make it really creative or anything, but it's crazy. It works.
What a joy having you tonight.
Yeah, very nice
tonight,
interview.
Mike.
Very good.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much. This is the Steve Brown Arts Center podcast network, and we'll be back with a regular show next week. So thanks again, Mike Sorensen, for coming.
Thank you.
And thank you, Blake Tempus and co-host Dale Rueber. To our fans, remember each day is about little victories.
It should just go in. There we go.
And of course, I
Why not?
I missed